There is a specific kind of person who never asks for a favor, who fixes every problem alone, and who feels a strange surge of panic at the thought of truly relying on someone else. If you've spent your life being the reliable one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here is the question that keeps you up at night. Why does your greatest strength feel like a prison? Society calls you self-sufficient. They call you a rock. But the truth is much darker. Your hyper-independence isn't a personality trait. It's a survival response. It is a wall you built to keep disappointment out, but it's also keeping your life at a distance. Today, we're going to dismantle that wall. To understand why you can't ask for help with the dishes today, we have to look at why you stopped asking for help with your emotions 20 years ago. Most hyper-independent adults share a common origin story. They were parentified children. This happens when the roles in a household are flipped. Maybe your parents were too loud, too broken, or just absent. In that vacuum, you realized that if you had a problem, there was no one coming to save you. Therefore, you learned a dangerous lesson far too early. Your needs are an inconvenience. You didn't become strong because you wanted to. You became strong because you had no choice. This "I've got it" reflex is the first brick in the wall. But if you don't understand the competence mask, you'll never realize how much of your personality is actually just a hiding place. We use competence as a shield. If I am the most capable person in the room, I am invulnerable. You perform excellence so that no one looks closely enough to see your exhaustion. You take on the extra shift and fix the leaking sink, all without a word of complaint. You've created a world where people love the mask, but they don't actually know the person behind it. You feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people, because you're not being seen, you're being utilized. I once knew a woman who managed a multi-million-dollar firm. She could lead 500 employees, but she broke down in tears because she couldn't ask her husband to pick up milk on the way home. The dopamine hit of doing it herself had become her only source of safety. But here's the reveal. The more she did, the less he helped. She had trained him that his help wasn't wanted. This isn't just a habit, it's a structural failure in how you relate to the world. This leads to a cycle of silent resentment that is poisoning your closest bonds. You're the person standing in the storm holding the umbrella for everyone else, while your own feet are submerged in freezing water. Because you find it impossible to receive, you over-index on giving. You anticipate everyone's needs before they even ask, but because you are human, you eventually get tired. You look around and realize no one is holding an umbrella for you. You haven't given them the chance to care. By refusing to be vulnerable, you've effectively fired everyone from the job of loving you. You are a closed system. But why does your body react to a helping hand like it's a physical threat? When someone offers you help, how do you feel? For most people, it's a relief. For you, it's a spike of cortisol. Your brain's alarm system associates help with unreliability. In your past, help may have come with strings attached, or it may have been promised and then snatched away. Therefore, your brain views a helping hand as a potential threat. It feels like a debt you can't pay back, or a weakness that will be exploited. This is the neurobiology of distrust. Your amygdala is screaming that help is a trap. Ask yourself right now, when was the last time you let someone see you fail? If the answer is never, you aren't living, you're performing. You are trapped in a loop where safety equals solitude and intimacy equals danger. If you grew up where the adults were too loud or too absent, you learned that your voice was a burden. You didn't just learn to be quiet, you learned to be invisible in your need. That invisibility became your superpower. But why is it that the more you become capable, the more empty the room feels? You've built a life where no one can touch you, yet you wonder why no one reaches out. Every time you reject an offer of support, you are reinforcing a neural pathway that says, I am the only one I can trust. This isn't efficiency, it's an island. And islands eventually run out of resources. You are running on fumes, pretending it's high octane. Think about the physical cost, the tension in your shoulders, the inability to breathe deeply when someone sits too close, the way you scan a room for exits even when you're at a friend's dinner party. This is hypervigilance masquerading as productivity. You think you're being a good employee or a good partner by having it all under control, but you're actually creating a vacuum. People around you stop trying because you've made it clear their efforts aren't up to your standard, or worse, that their efforts make you feel unsafe. You are the architect of your own isolation, and yet you blame the world for not showing up. But how could they? You never gave them the keys. So how do we stop performing? We need to move from hyper-independence to interdependence. Interdependence is the ability to be strong alone, but even stronger together. I want you to categorize your life into 3 buckets. Most of you have everything in bucket A. We need to move them. First are solo tasks, things that truly bring you joy to do alone. Second are shared tasks, things that could be done alone, but better with a partner. Third are delegated tasks, things that drain your battery and should be handled by someone else. The goal isn't to become needy. The goal is to become available. When you delegate a task, you aren't losing power. You're gaining time and intimacy. But this will feel like dying at first. Your ego will scream that you are being lazy or a burden. That is the feeling of the wall coming down. The ultimate secret of hyper-independence is that needing people is the highest form of strength. It takes 0 courage to do something yourself when you don't trust anyone. It takes immense courage to stand in front of someone, admit you're overwhelmed, and say, "I can't do this alone." Authentic connection doesn't happen in the moments when you are strong. It happens in the cracks. It happens when you let the umbrella drop for a second and realize you won't drown. You feel like a burden for needing anything. But if your friend came to you, exhausted and broken, would you think they were a burden? No, you would feel honored that they trusted you. Therefore, why do you deny your friends the same honor? Why do you assume they're not capable of supporting you? Consider the helping audit as a daily ritual. Every morning you ask, what am I carrying that isn't mine? Most of the weight on your shoulders belongs to the people you're trying to save. You are a repository for other people's chaos because it makes you feel in control. But control is the opposite of connection. To connect, you have to let go of the steering wheel. You have to risk the possibility that someone might drop the ball. And if they do, you've spent a lifetime proving you can pick it up. So what are you actually afraid of? You're not afraid of the failure. You're afraid of the feeling of being seen in the failure. You're afraid that if the mask slips, the love disappears. But the love you have to earn through competence isn't love, it's payment. True intimacy is what remains when you have nothing to offer. It's the silence between 2 people who don't need to fix anything. If you've spent your life being the fixer, that silence is terrifying. It's the sound of your own needs finally being heard. You are not a burden. You are a human being, and human beings are not designed to be closed systems. If you spent this entire video nodding your head, it means your competence mask is starting to slip. The transition from "I've got it" to "we've got it" is a long journey, and it's one you shouldn't take alone. Remember, you don't need to heal to be perfect. You only need to heal so you can be real. The world doesn't need another mask. It needs the person you were before the pain taught you that you had to be invisible to be safe. If you're tired of the performance and ready to return to yourself, consider joining this community. We are all just learning how to be whole again.